Hello and welcome back to episode 20 of the CarveCast. Can you believe 20 episodes in? I only really started this as a kind of tiny little hobby just to have a way of talking about skiing without annoying all of my friends and family who are pretty upset that they have to listen to it all the time. And it's really got way more traction than I ever imagined it would. So since I've started it in the 20 episodes that I've done, we've had over 70,000 listens and a few thousand views on YouTube as well. Not many views on YouTube in comparison to the listens, so I presume a lot of you guys are listening in instead of watching, but I do highly recommend you jump onto YouTube and potentially watch a couple of episodes if convenient, because quite a lot of the time I'm showing things, especially when we start getting back into the gear episodes, which we've got a lot coming up of, and obviously it's better to watch it on YouTube. But anyway, that is enough of a backtrack on that one. The previous two episodes, I had friend of mine, Gareth Enoch, who has been training for the Warren Smith Ski Academy for over 10 years. And we spoke for over 2 hours, fantastic conversation, super informational. And we chatted on and on and on, and we probably could have done another 10 hours quite easily, to be perfectly honest. So great two episodes, 18 and 19. I highly recommend that you go and listen to Gareth. He's a wealth of information. Nicest guy you'll ever meet, and super passionate about skiing and knowledgeable as well. Now, what else has been going on? Well, one thing that has been going on is there has been a serious downfall of snow in the Alps over the past sort of 2 or 3 days. So that is absolutely sensational. I'm going to cover that off in a little bit more detail as we move through this episode. Another thing that went on was the London Snow Show. Now, I went up to the London Snow Show on the Sunday, and last year's snow show I thoroughly enjoyed. It was in XL last year. This year it was in Olympia. And I must admit that this year I didn't feel was as good as last year. And I'm really talking from a perspective of the actual exhibitors. This was pretty much dominated by holiday companies and resort companies. There was really only the Ski Exchange there, a tiny little pitch from Ellis Brigham, and then some other bits and pieces. But for the most part, I personally would like to see a lot more gear. I'd like to see lots and lots of unknown brands bringing their stuff around, showing people, trying to get their name out there. I'd like to see lots and lots more of the ski brands there, just in general, to be perfectly honest. The holiday stuff is great, but I would love to see, in addition to that, just loads more gear, because I love gear. So it was great atmosphere, caught up with loads of people, met my level 2 instructor Scott. I met so many people there, it was unbelievable. So thank you for everyone that came up and said hello, that was fun as well. And yeah, the snow show was good, but not as good, I didn't feel, as last year. Maybe I'm misreading it. Let me know what you think in the comments, or drop me a message on Instagram and give me some feedback about what you thought of the snow show. My only kind of negative, really, the talks were great, everything else was great. I would just like to see more gear. I guess I'm just a gearhead, but and not in that way. So here we are on episode 20. I can't actually believe it. And it's come perfect timing, because like I said earlier, we have had a serious downfall of snow in the Alps. Now, I've written some of these down because I've been scouring social media, looking at all of the webcams, as I do quite often every morning when I wake up at the obscure hour of the morning that I usually wake up at. And let's go through some of them. I think Vallées, my beloved Vallées, probably my second favourite ski resort behind Zermatt, has had, I think, the most. They've had around 64 centimetres above 2,400 metres. So I presume that's probably been similar or the same in teens. It would be close, I would imagine, at least. But yeah, what a great start to the season for Vallées. And I will be in Vallées in December. So hopefully that downfall continues and we can continue on this huge snowfall journey that we seem to have started the season on. Although quite often I've noticed we start the season like this and then it kind of tails right off. But let's hope that it just keeps ploughing down for when people's holidays and vacations start in, usually I guess, December. Where else have we had? 3 valleys. Val Thorens, obviously the highest resort in Europe. Don't get that confused with the highest slopes in Europe, because a lot of people do. When they say the highest resort, they mean the actual town itself. That is the highest town in Europe. So for ski in, ski out, guaranteed ski in, ski out, that is the place to go if you want to literally be able to step out of your hotel or chalet or whatever the case may be and ski straight to a lift rather than having to go up first. But it's not the highest ski area in the world. It's not even particularly close. So just bear that in mind. 40 centimeters mid to high mountain in Val Thorens. Courchevel, 30 to 35 centimeters high up in the mountain, and Méribel around 20 centimeters high up. Les Arcs from mid-mountain upwards, around 15 centimeters. Same for La Plagne. Zermatt Chevinia around 20 to 25 centimeters. And then in the four valleys, nearly catching up with Val d'Isère, they say that Verbier from the mid-mountain upwards has had around 40 centimeters. So a huge amount there as well. 30 centimeters in Nendas. And then as we move over to Avoriaz, around 20 centimeters high up in the mountain. La Rosière around 30 centimeters, and I think I'm actually going to La Rosière in January, so that will be interesting. I've never been before. And then Hintertux and the Kitzsteinhorn around 20 centimeters, apparently in the upper areas of the mountain, I'm guessing on the glacier. So this is a great start. And in fact, Snow Camps Europe, whose jumper I am wearing today, hoodie rather, did his first snowfall live video just either yesterday, I think it was, maybe even today, just showing that they've had some decent snowfall on the Kitzsteinhorn and a little bit down into Comprun and Selamsi as well. So it's all started off over there. That is super exciting. I was hoping to actually get out there around this time, but I just have absolutely not been able to find the time amongst work, unfortunately. So that trip may have to wait for another season or at least another month. I'll have to see if I can dig out some time to go visit Andy later on in the season. Now, in addition to the snowfall and the snow show, we've also got all of the we've got the World Cup racing happening, not this weekend, but next weekend. So that's sometime around the sort of last week of October, beginning of November in Solden. So that will all be on the TV. So I'm super excited to be able to sit down and watch that on the weekends. It just adds a little bit of excitement on top of the football. So I'm excited about that as well. I've had some new gear come in as well just before the season starts. So I'm very excited to tell you guys about that, and I will grab that out in just a minute. But before I do, I just wanted to go over a few other things that's happening later on in the season. So my season really starts around the 20th of November, at which point I'm going to be heading off into the Alps, and I'm going to try and document my journey as much as possible, and maybe even make some vlogs or something like that, or maybe even turn the podcast into a vlog for a couple of weeks. I'm not too sure. Hoping to definitely catch up with a few guests over in Zermatt and various other places as well while I'm over there. But my journey starts in less than 30 days and I will be gone for 3 weeks, potentially slightly more. So I'm super excited about that. Got another big one coming up straight after Christmas, heading into New Year's. So I will tell you guys about that in a later episode as well. Now, next week, actually on Monday, I have a new guest on the show. It's not someone I've ever spoken to in person before. We've had conversations on Instagram and I've watched lots of his videos on Instagram. On Instagram, he is Sammy Skis. And he's coming on the podcast. He's from Verbier, a ski instructor in Verbier. And I'm super excited to have a conversation with him about all things skiing. So if anyone has any questions for Sammy, just drop it in the comments or drop me a message. I did put out a story on Instagram the other day and I've had 5 or 6 questions in from that as well. So plenty to cover off with him. And in addition to that, I've got loads more guests coming up, which I do keep saying about. And now we've had, well, 3 or 4 guests now, so we are heading there, but I've got lots more exciting guests coming up. Now, I've actually had loads of questions over the past few weeks about Stockley skis behind me, about all kinds of different things. But one question I've had quite a lot of, and I'm going to answer it now, is about how to become a ski instructor. Now, I am a level 2 ski instructor. For those of you that have been dedicated listeners to the podcast, you will know that I passed my IASI level 2 a few months ago in Hintertux, and I now have my ID card, and it's just really putting a smile on my face every time I see it. But a lot of people keep asking me about what is a level 1, what is a level 2, what does it mean you can do? And I'm by no means an expert on this subject, but because I've been through it, I guess that's why they're asking me the question, because I have replied to a few people and said, well, I'm going to be talking to a BASI level 4, I'm going to be talking to an IASI level 4, but they said they wanted to hear it from my perspective because I've literally just been through it. So hopefully I can answer some of these questions for you and leave you a little bit more in the light when it comes to understanding how to become a ski instructor. So I think first of all, and I don't really know a huge amount about the differences between the two, but I do know that they are fairly similar, and there is a crossover if you decide to go from one discipline to another. But that is the difference between IASI, which is the Irish Association of Ski or Snow Sport, something like that, and then BASI, which is the British Association of Ski something other. And the two I know are similar, but also could also be explained as being very different. Now, those two are probably the two that you're going to go for if you're English or Irish. I would imagine that elsewhere in Europe, for example, Austria have their own system, Switzerland have their own system, etc. So if you guys are from there, apologies. But if you'd like to tell us about how it works in other countries, please do. Again, either drop me an email or drop me a message or a comment on YouTube, and I'll include that in another podcast. But from the IASI perspective, which is the one that I did, it's actually quite simple, and I'm pretty sure BASI is very, very similar to this as well. And the way that that works is that basically you have level 1 to 4, and then there's various other modules that you can add into it. Now, I only know about level 1 and 2, so I'm going to cover that off. But level 1 is typically something that you would do inside a snow dome, or potentially, I think, even on a dry slope, but usually on like an indoor snow centre. So the place where I did it was the Hemel Hempstead Snow Centre, which is a fantastically run place, really, really nice place to go and do these kind of things, and I would definitely recommend it. You can also do it in the mountains, which would be fantastic, but I'm guessing that's probably a lot more expensive and a lot more difficult to organise, but that is definitely a possibility and would obviously be the way to do it. But if you wanted to just get your level 1, you can contact someone called Ali Smith at Ski Definition. So if you Google Ski Definition, you will find a company called Ski Definition, and Ali, who runs it, he does dozens and dozens of IASI level 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. qualification courses throughout the period of a year. Now, I'm recommending him because I've known him for a little while now. He's one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. All of his tutors and teachers and trainers are fantastic. So I can highly recommend those guys. And I know that if I get you to go and use his company, I know you're going to get a good experience, which makes me comfortable to do that. Now, typically you're going to pay, I believe, around £500–600, I think, for your level 1, roughly. It could have gone up by now, it might have even gone down, I don't know, but around that price. And that is typically a 5-day course. I presume that's the same whether you're doing it on an indoor snow facility or actually on the mountains themselves, but that is a 5-day course. Now, what they'll do during that time is they will essentially educate you on how you should be skiing and how you should also be teaching. And the way that I sort of find them to look at it is that they don't necessarily mind how you ski, but what they do want is they want you to be able to show students how to ski correctly, which will put them in a good position to progress and get better at skiing. Whereas even if you are a good, competent skier, but your technique is not necessarily textbook technique, you're going to potentially get somebody to learn in a way that means they're going to hit a ceiling fairly quickly. So they want you to be able to demonstrate in a very particular way. And that's probably really the crux of what your level 1 and in fact your level 2 is all about. Now, what's fantastic about doing your level 1 and in fact level 2 is the quality of that training on that week is some of the highest quality training you'll ever get for the lowest price you will ever find. If you was to go and do, for example, a Stompit camp for a week, you're talking somewhere in the region of £1,500 to £2,000 or 1,800 Swiss francs roughly. Now, when you compare that week to a week doing your IASI training, yes, they're very different, but they're also kind of similar. And I think that that is an incredible price to get that level of training. So if, like me, you don't necessarily even intend to become a ski instructor as such, it's a great way of getting incredible quality training and getting an idea of what your level is at and how correctly, in inverted commas, you are skiing according to the discipline that you're trying to sort of adhere to. Now, on that 1 week course, you will go through short turns, you'll go through long turns, you'll go through potentially, I think, a tiny little bit of carving, although I don't think much on that first week. And essentially at the end of it, they will grade you. You'll have some paperwork to do as well, some sort of home study and some, little bit of documentation to fill out. And essentially at the end of that week, they will sit everybody down and one by one on a one-to-one basis, they'll go through and tell you, did you pass or did you not? And if you didn't, I believe you can go back and repeat certain modules in level 2. In level 1, I don't know, you may have to sit the whole thing again, but I would find it pretty hard to believe that many people would fail the level 1. The quality you need to be at for a level 1 is not massively high. So bear that in mind. Don't be too kind of put off by it. Level 2 was significantly higher, and I think level 3 is an even bigger jump from level 2, but I haven't done level 3 and I won't be for a long time. So yeah, level 1. Now, what does that enable you to do? That enables you to teach either on a dry slope or on an indoor snow facility in the UK. And I'm guessing Ireland as well. So that is all it will allow you to do. It will not allow you to go and teach on the mountains as far as I understand it. If I'm wrong, please do correct me in the comments or in an email, because that would be annoying. And don't take my word for it. Contact Ali at Ski Definition. He'll tell you everything you need to know. Now, once you've got your level 1, what you then need to do is you need to do some shadowing, again, on an indoor facility or a dry slope to shadow a qualified instructor, and you have to do quite a lot of hours for that. I can't remember the exact amount, but it's in the dozens of hours. And once you've then completed your level 1 and the shadowing, at that point you will then become a level 1 ski instructor with IASI. Now, there's a couple of other things you need to do as well, which is you need to do a first aid certificate, which means you have to actually go into a classroom and do first aid. And you also have to do another one, which is an online module, which is about caring for children and how to deal with children and how to notice certain things and all that kind of stuff. So it's the level 1, the shadowing, and the 2 first aid, well, the 1 first aid and also the sort of caring for children one. I forget what it's called now. But again, contact Ali. He will tell you the exact details for all of these things. So that is essentially your level 1. Once you've got that and you've done your shadowing, at that point you can go on to your level 2. Now, when it comes to your level 2, I'm pretty sure that was a 6-day course. It could have been 5-day, but I think it was 6-day course. And that one is on the mountain. Now, I think you can actually even do a part of it indoors and then do the rest of it on the mountain. But again, you'd have to check with one of the companies that offers this kind of training and qualification to see what their offering is exactly. But I did either 5 or 6 days on the snow in Hintertux. And essentially the whole time you're going through a higher level of training that you did on your level 1. You're expected to obviously have a better level of skiing. But most importantly, you're expected to be able to teach to that level, which means demonstrating to your students how you should ski all of the different things that anyone would really be ever expected to ski up to that level. So that would include some carving turns, That would include variable conditions, things like moguls, chopped up snow, different conditions, for example, like whiteout, all these different kinds of things, plus long terms, short terms, a whole bunch of other stuff. And you'll be asked to show a demonstration of your teaching in all of these different disciplines. And that is actually a huge part of the overall marking, is how well you actually teach. So take that as a little tip from me. I would say it's less about the way that you ski, although obviously you need to be of a certain level, but much more about how you can teach that to students, and also how you can demonstrate this level of skiing to your students as well. And now looking back on it, that makes a lot of sense, because obviously that is the most important part of the job. But for me, as someone who wasn't really looking at it from a perspective of passing to become an instructor, I was looking at it more from a perspective of just getting better, having qualifications, trying to be authentic, trying to be legitimate, trying to confirm to myself that I could ski to a certain level. Obviously, it makes sense that it would be very important to be able to teach properly and reproduce these demonstrations and show people exactly how to do these things so they start off on the right path. So that would be your level 2. Now, I know for a fact with your level 2, if you were to fail certain elements, for example, the carve turn or the long turn or the short turn, wherever it might be, you can just repeat that module and see if you can pass just that module, rather than having to go back and do the entire 5 to 6 days. Now, again, once you've got your level 2, you're going to need to do more shadowing. Now, at this stage, I believe you can do your shadowing on the mountain. In fact, I think you can even do your level 1 shadowing on the mountain, because you're just shadowing. But you will need to do more hours of shadowing. Now, once you've got the 1, the 2, the first aid, the child protection stuff, and your shadowing for 1 and 2, at that point you will then get your license card, and that will make you a fully qualified level 2 instructor. And a level 2 instructor can teach anywhere in the world, I believe, on that level 2. So that's actually a pretty impressive qualification to have, and quite often I sort of underestimate how much of a big achievement that was. I guess, again, because of the reasons I was there. Other people who are looking at it from a job perspective and their career depends on it, obviously are going to be a bit more chuffed with themselves than me, who was more there just to be a good, competent skier and have good levels of safety, good levels of awareness, and learn in the right way, so I could then help my friends and family to learn in the correct way. So that is a bit of an introduction as to your level 1, level 2. But what I would suggest is that if you want to know more information, definitely contact someone like Ali Smith at Ski Definition, and he will massively help you. I'm pretty sure actually that Scott, who again was a guest on a previous episode, my level 2 instructor, amazing instructor, also does level 2, I think maybe even level 1 over in Norway, which would be a fun place to go and do it. And there are lots of other people as well, but I would highly recommend Ali. He's got some great instructors, all of which have been fantastic to me. Nothing but helpful, nothing but professional. I can't really recommend them any more than that, to be perfectly honest. So that is your level 1, level 2, and I hope that answers the people's questions that have been asking me. In fact, someone asked me literally yesterday, Sandy, a lady who follows me, she asked me yesterday. So hopefully that helps you, Sandy, and all the other people that have also asked me the same question. Now, what I would also like to let you guys know is that on my Instagram and TikTok, I am constantly putting out ski content. So if you are interested in ski content, and it's not just video clips of amazing views on chairlifts and stuff like that, I do little video reviews. I've done a good 7 or 8 videos of my Stockley skis and what each one is for, and lots of information about that. What is a good woman's one? You know, all these different questions have been answered on these videos on my TikTok and Instagram. All the details for my social media are in the links, either in the show notes if you're on a podcast, or on YouTube in the description. You can easily find me and find all of those links. Or you can even find me at thecarvecast.com, and all the links will also be on there. So I I want to move on to a couple of other subjects. The first one is that in 2 weeks tomorrow, my wife is off to Hintertux for the very first time, a place that I've spent a good 10 or 12 days in, doing my level 2 and also doing my mogul camp with Gary Tumbaz, if you guys remember back in those episodes. So I know it fairly well, but she's off there in 2 weeks to do a Stomp It camp. Now, you guys have heard me talk about the Stomp It camps a lot. I don't actually sort of know any of the people that run it. You know, if I bumped into my tutors like Dave, in fact I did in September on a gondola in Zermatt, obviously I would say hello, but none of them are people that I talk to on a regular basis, like Gareth, for example, or Jason or Scott. So I'm not pushing this for any other reason other than the fact that I had a great time on it, so much so that I've gifted one to my wife. She's off to there 2 weeks tomorrow, and I'm super excited for her. I've just recently bought her some new skis, the Stockley Montero AWs, and they are in a 158. And the Montero AWs are an incredible female ski. Obviously it's a Stockley, so you can't really get any better than that, but it's just a great ski. I'm trying to look at the width here. I believe it's an 80 underfoot. So 80 underfoot, but because it's a Stockley, it's first and foremost a performance carving ski. So you can definitely push it as hard as anyone could ever push a ski within, you know, unless you're an absolute race skier. And it's also got the width that gives you that little bit more stability underfoot and makes those sort of slushy days or those chopped up afternoons a little bit easier, a little bit more fun, a little bit more comfortable. So she's going to be taking those away with her. We was actually in Hemel Hempstead today and earlier on this week, where my wife and daughter Lila, they went and had some lessons actually with a lady, Rosie, who was on my level 2 course with me in Hintertux. And you might be saying, oh, you're a tutor, you're a teacher, you're a ski instructor. Why don't you teach them? I promise you now, teaching family is one of the worst things you can ever do when it comes to skiing. Whether you're a ski instructor or whether you're just an accomplished skier, trying to pass that stuff down to family members. My daughter, not too bad, but my wife, it just ends up in an argument. So I basically booked her some lessons with Rosie and my daughter at the same time, and they've been in the Hemel Hempstead doing their lessons to try and get them ready for the season. And if you guys do want to do training in Hemel Hempstead, make sure you contact me first and I can give you the details of good ski instructors, because even though they're all okay ski instructors, some are incredible ski instructors, and they're the ones you want to go with if you're going to spend money on training indoors. So please do make sure that you don't just go on the website and let them randomly assign one to you. Pick one that is recommended. So they've had a great time with Rosie. They're all ready and raring to go for the new season. My daughter, her boots no longer fit her, so I had to get her some new boots. So that was a fun process. And in fact, in the next few months, I've got multiple boot fitters coming on to really tell you the ins and outs about boots, about boot fitting, all the new models for the new season coming up, all the new zip fit liners, all the intuition liners. We're going to talk about all of this stuff in some upcoming episodes from two of the most fantastic boot fitters that I've met through this journey so far. So that will be extremely entertaining and good information in the upcoming videos. So my wife, like I said, off to Hintertux in a couple of weeks. Hopefully she's going to be sending me back videos and whatnot. So if she does, or when she does, because she's got no choice, I will be putting those on my social media to share, to let other people have a little bit of insight into those Stomp It camps from someone who is less experienced than me, less into it than me, and also someone who's never done any form of camp training before and has actually done very little one-to-one training as well, outside of arguing and fighting with me. So that's going to be extremely fun. In December, I'm doing a Stomp It camp with one of my friends who I met on my previous Stomping camp, Benji. So if you're listening, hello Benji, you should be. And we're doing another Stomping camp just purely because it was so much fun, such good training, such passionate people. And like I said, I have no affiliation with them or anything, but highly, highly, highly recommend. Now, talking of recommend, I saw today that Andy from Snow Camps Europe, who I'm pimping on my jumper today, has got loads of upcoming courses coming up in Kitzsteinhorn and Kaprun and Italy. So if you're interested in doing any of those, have a look at that. Just Google Snow Camps Europe. And in fact, I noticed one of them was a PSIE, teaching qualification. So having spoken about IASI and BASI, I don't know this for sure, but I'm guessing PSIE is a similar thing, but comes from somewhere else. So that might be something you're interested in, because I feel like that one, from what I understand, is maybe even like sort of slightly more globally acknowledged or recognized. I don't know. I could be completely wrong, but have a look into that. Speak to Andy. I'm sure he will give you a lot of good information. And the Kitzsteinhorn is open right now. So if you was to fancy going out and doing a couple of days skiing, you could contact Andy at Snow Camps Europe, and he will definitely put you on the right path, get you in contact with the best teachers and tell you where to stay and all that kind of stuff. And I can't recommend that enough. Doing that early season skiing is much more fun than you may imagine it to be. So don't be put off by the fact that the resorts are obviously smaller than they are normally and there are complexities to it. It's still a very fun time, and it really gets you prepped and hyped up for your first proper ski holiday later in the year. And to a certain degree as well, I think, makes you get better value for money out of that upcoming longer ski trip as well, because you're more prepared, ready to go, had some good training, and then you can just head off on your holiday and really, really enjoy yourself. So don't be put off by the smaller glacier areas becoming open. Now, what we do have to remember is that it's the 1st of November, I think next weekend or not too far off. And that means we're really only a month away from a lot of ski resorts opening a fairly significant amount of their area, providing obviously that the snowfall continues in the way that it has been. I noticed in Zermatt, in Cervinia, in lots of places now, they've put the snow cannons on, which means they must be confident of no more thaw-outs. So that is good, and it really does get you hyped up and excited for what is coming. So if you ever get an opportunity, go onto your favourite ski resorts website, or maybe even one that you would like to go to that you haven't been to before. And a lot of them have really, really good webcams, lots of good weather information, lots of good information on lifts and openings and all that kind of stuff. And it is just exciting to look ahead and see what is happening, look at the snow levels, look how much snow is falling, all of these kinds of things. So if you are a geek like me and you're that passionate like me, check these places out, because it is a lot of fun looking through them. And it's better than scrolling social media. So yeah, that's my advice. Also, there's an app called Berg, FEX I think it's called, which is like all of the weather for pretty much anything, but it's fantastic for snow ski resorts. And on there, it also has all of the webcams for each resort. So you can literally search for a resort, look at the weather, look at the webcams. So I highly recommend that as well. So in terms of that, that's where we're at right now. The countdown is on to the new season, which I am very, very excited about. And I'm just going to reach over now for the gear part of the CarveCast, which I love. And I know we haven't done many recently, but we're going to do a lot more. I've in fact got lots of dedicated podcasts coming up that are only about gear. So if gear is your thing, stay tuned, make sure you're subscribed, and you'll hear that in a future episode. Pardon me. So first up, what I'm going to show you in terms of gear, obviously because you guys know I'm a bit odd in terms of the fact that I have this goggle addiction, and I have recently got some new goggles and I'm holding them up to camera, but if you're on the podcast, let me explain to you. These are the brand new FlowScape goggles from Oakley. Now, I think personally these are going to take over from the Lion Miner Pros, but I could be wrong. They might keep both. This season they've definitely got both. But the FlowScape is different in the fact that the foam on the back is very, very thin top to bottom. The frame is very narrow, and that gives you a much wider field of view. Now, for those of you that are looking on camera, you'll see mine have got a bit of a gold thing going on, and that is because these are the 50th anniversary edition. They have completely removable and interchangeable lenses, and you do get 2 lenses included with them. And the lens removal system has even been improved and enhanced to reduce the size of the frames to give you more viewing angle. So Oakley are really heavy on this model, and I think they're really thinking that they've done a fantastic job with this new FlowScape goggle. Now, they look great. I don't really like the way they feel, if I'm being completely honest, but they've used this new material which has enabled them to reduce all of the size of the bevels, etc. So I don't blame them for it, but yeah, to touch, it's a bit plasticky to touch, but probably it's actually tougher than the previous one because it does have a bit of a give to it. But anyway, that's by the by. They're Oakley, they're going to be good quality. They'll have a good warranty. They'll have a good return system anyway. So it is what it is. But yeah, the Oakley FlowScapes, these look really, really cool. And I am excited, very excited to try them out. If you guys have heard me before talk about goggles, the one thing that is very important to me over and above everything else is the clarity. And what I mean by clarity is the definition as such. So I want to be able to look through these and have very, very low distortion, very, very low hazing, very, very low blurring. And the Oakleys, because they have a single pane of plastic rather than a dual layer to stop condensation, are the best in my opinion for clarity. They're not my favorite goggle. The Smith 4D Mag is definitely my favorite goggle, but the clarity on the Oakleys is better for sure. Now, in addition to that, I'm going to hold up another pair if you're watching on YouTube. If not, the pair that I'm holding up for you guys on the podcast is the brand new version of the goggle from Oakley. And this particular version is one that they've done for quite a while, but even though they had removable lenses, it was a big faff. These ones are now completely interchangeable with the 2 red buttons behind the actual strap itself, the same as the Line Minor Pros. So these are an absolutely fantastic goggle. And I've always liked the way they look because they have the rounded cylindrical lens in both directions, horizontal and vertical. But now you can actually change the lenses easily using the buttons on the back. So those are the 2 new goggles from Oakley. I went with the black strap with the white logo and the red lens on these. But again, they come with the 2 lenses. The second lens for Oakley's, you can't choose it. It's always the same. It's that same sort of purpley coloured one that you always tend to get. So those are the 2 new lenses, 2 new goggles from Oakley. I'm excited to try them out. Again, I've put up short videos on Instagram and TikTok if you want to take a closer look at both of those. But I will be doing full reviews once I've worn them a little bit more. I've even managed to find cases that hold multiple goggles. So this is a cheap one off of Amazon, but Oakley themselves actually do one that carries like 3 sets of goggles, which is a much nicer quality than the one from Amazon. So hopefully I'll be doing a bit of a review of that as well in a future video. So that is it from me. Episode 20 is over. Episode 21 will be me and Sammy having hopefully a really long discussion on Monday, and hopefully I can get that out the same night. So that is all from me. If you got to the end, I hugely appreciate it. If you've got any feedback for me, please do contact me on any of my social medias or in the comments on YouTube, or however you would prefer to do it. You can drop me an email. My email address is also in the show notes or in the video description, and I'd love to hear your feedback. If you've got any questions, drop them over as well. But like I said, 75,000 listens is incredible for something which never really intended to potentially get any traction whatsoever. So thank you guys so much. Here's the road to 100,000. Here's the road to episode, I don't know, 25 or 50, I guess is the next landmark. And I will hopefully have all of you back listening in the next one. See ya.